An epic journey awaits. Join me and my time-traveling apprentice, Remembro, as we take you back to the 90s.
Today we're taking a look at 5 short-lived cartoons from 1995. Leave us a comment below if you remember watching any of these.
Hope in 24 hours and they'll never go sour. It's Toons. Hi, can I help you? You need a bag for that? Okay, come again.
Number 5, Wildcats. Not to be confused with SWAT Cats, Thundercats, or even Samurai Pizza Cats. This series stands out among the others as the cartoon doesn't feature any cats at all. Instead, CAT is used as an acronym for Covert Action Teams, though why they chose to pluralize it is anyone's guess, as the show never incorporates more than the initial team we're introduced to in the pilot. CBS Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. would bring 30-minute episodes, sandwiched between Skeleton Warriors and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Later in the seasons, this would be reversed as Ninja Turtles would precede Wildcats and leave Skeleton Warriors to follow, in an attempt to retain some of the already well-established Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle viewership. All 3 titles would be featured in the same animated wraparound sequence as part of the CBS Action Zone. As the dawn of the 21st century approaches and the prehistoric conflict between the Daemonite and Carabim nears its end, soon the fate of both Earth and humanity will be determined in the ultimate battle between good and evil. The show lasted for a single season of 13 fairly well-produced episodes. Adapted from the comic released in '92, the show is much more of an X-Men style clone than other cartoon series at the time, which incorporated the theme of mutation. While the team of heroes is pretty run-of-the-mill, the villains are sure to appear familiar at a glance to anyone who caught an episode. Playmates Toys released a moderately lucrative toy line of 6-inch action figures and a Super Nintendo installment as well. Wildcats used up its 9th life by January, and it's likely many were left wanting more, as there is little to no negative feedback out there about the series. Just a simple case of not enough people tuning in at its time of airing. Unlike most obscure programs like the briefly mentioned Samurai Pizza Cats, this series would find an afterlife and much wider audience than the series ended with. Following its cancellation, USA Network would adopt Wildcats and run it as part of their USA Action Extreme Team block clear through to '96.
Grandpa, do you remember your first Pepsi?
My first Pepsi was 1926, Homer's General Store.
100 years ago?
Pepsi number 2, cheap seats, Wrigley Field. Pepsi 812, the stock market crash. Pepsi number 1844, Dad bought the DeSoto.
What's the DeSoto?
Pepsi 3922, Spam was invented. I was drinking Pepsi number 4203 when I met your grandma. 5,000. My dog Bruno got skunked. 14,030. Your dad repeated 3rd grade.
Astronauts walked on the moon, 17,101.
20,990 was last Tuesday. And this is Pepsi 21,004, Kathy.
Kelly.
Kelly?
Kelly.
I knew that. I think I knew that.
Number 4, the Shnookums Meat Funny Cartoon Show. While Marsupilami received a spin-off from Raw Tunage, it likewise provided yet another spin-off stemming from the same creative concept that helped Disney among top brands on the afternoon cartoon scene, featuring 2 recognizable characters from their episodic segments on Marsupilami, a cat named Shnookums and a dog named Meat, voiced by Jason Marsden and Frank Welker. Bits many times began with their intentionally stock character owners aptly named husband and wife, visible only from the neck down, leaving the 2 pets home alone, where chaos can then ensue, to the delight of fans. Though probably not as obvious at the time of airing, it's basically a reworking of the same layout we'd seen in a Tom and Jerry or Sylvester and Tweety Bird short. Speaking of short, each episode of Shnookums Meat was composed of 3 separate portions. The first, of course, going to our title characters, the second being a superhero spoof, often likened to Darkwing Duck, called Pith Possum, Super Dynamic Possum of Tomorrow. Thirdly, Wild West cowboy Tex Tinstar would round out the half hour in a Rocky and Bullwinkle style as he did weekly battle against the Wrong Riders. Shnookums Meat was meant to rival Nickelodeon's more edgy shows in the vein of Ren and Stimpy. Disney went so far as to acquire folks who had recently left work on the Ren and Stimpy show, so no doubt some of the sensibility around gross-out, extreme close-up humor found its way into Disney's rendition, though IMDb's complete coverage of the series reads as follows: a showcase of animated shorts by Disney Disney. The Shnookums Meat funny cartoon show was much more than that, and the continued demand for it saw reruns airing on Toon Disney, where even more fans will have caught it for the first time. Any cursory search for the series would likely net you results claiming left and right that it's some sort of obscure cartoon lost to time. Most viewers will immediately recognize this to be utter nonsense, and they would be right. Why the confusion? Because Shnookums Meat, along with another title that's claimed nowadays to be obscure, Aladdin, the animated series, were both absent from the Disney Plus streaming list.
A week of scout camp. How hard could it be?
I'm your new troop leader. We're going to chop wood and dig a ditch from here to there. Any questions?
Bet you can't eat just one.
Kid, I once went an entire week without breathing.
New Wavy Lay's Hidden Valley Ranch flavor. Bet you can't eat just one.
Keeper!
Hidden Valley's a special ranch. Wavy Lay's are special potato chips.
Number 3, Littlest Pet Shop. Hitting a prime cartoon time slot on Nick came a series that was concocted around an immensely successful toy line by Kenner. The Littlest Pet Shop franchise brought its brand of cutesy miniature animals that came with detailed accessories and occasionally a moving part or two into the world of animation. When it came to developing toy lines aimed at drawing the attention of girls in the early 90s, miniatures were still all the rage. A fad best attributed to its predecessor Polly Pocket, which was eventually bought out by rival toy maker Mattel. An October 16th premiere introduced viewers to the animated counterparts, the familiar figures they'd seen on toy store shelves since 1992. Airing at 3:30 meant whether you were a fan eagerly awaiting your next opportunity to join the pets on Littlest Lane, or simply settling in to watch Nick. After a boring day at school, you probably ran into a few episodes. On the surface, one might assume the program is directed at a younger audience than the show is actually designed for, leaving it to be a title that a lot of folks will have overlooked or actively ignored during its 40-episode lifespan. The Littlest Pet Shop was unfortunately condemned after a single season, but the concept would later find a whole new batch of fans and a more modern audience. They revamped the idea in 2012, continuing with the trend of producing a thoughtful and optimistic series. This was all going well until the franchise made a complete 180 with early released webisodes dropped in 2017. The third installment in the franchise, A World of Their Own, saw the series become nothing more than extended commercial for hawking merchandise related to the series' namesake. Granted, most of these cartoon titles are guilty of the same, but in this instance, the bland storylines and lack of enthusiasm couldn't even be masked by amazing advancements in animation. In 1996, Fairly Home Entertainment released the show on 4 VHS tapes, each containing 2 to 4 episodes, which sounds a little weak on quantity. But when you take into account that the episodes were composed of multiple, self-contained stories, it evens out in the end.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Cartoon Network has many stars, but only one sun. A giant celestial body that is in some way linked to every toon alive. And that sun is named Velma. Every toon, everywhere has a connection to the Cartoon Network's bespectacled super sleuth, like Brainy Smurf, who's terrorized by Azrael, who's littermates with Sebastian, who tours with the Pussycats, who are assisted by Alan, who shares clothes with Freddy, who solves mysteries with Velma. Then there's Betty, who takes step aerobics with Judy, who shares a house with Astro, who goes to speech therapy with Scooby, who solves mysteries with Velma. Space Ghost battles Zorak, who did a guest stint on Jabberjaw, where he was captured by a guy who looks remarkably like Shaggy, who solves mysteries with Velma. It's easy to trace a path to Velma, that gaseous star at the center of the Cartoon Network universe. What's your connection?
Number 2, The Critic. Primetime adult animated sitcoms, though featured less frequently on our list, did in fact hold their fair share of limited season candidates. One of these being a highly regarded and widely enjoyed series that would appear on both ABC and Fox during its original run. John Lovitz voices the main character in Near 40 New York film critic Jay Sherman, considered by many to be cold, mean-spirited, and elitist. His televised film review show would more often than not be brimming with a morose negativity, deeming nearly all the titles he critiques rubbish, while delivering his signature line, "It stinks." Produced by Gracie Films, the same company behind The Simpsons. Additionally, the animation was brought to audiences by Film Roman, which was also working on The Simpsons at the time. Originally designed as a spin-off that would revolve around Krusty the Clown. The premise would have been the same, and Krusty would be a single father in New York with a prickly makeup lady and an eccentric boss. Not all too dissimilar to Sherman's overall design in The Critic. Unfortunately, Simpsons creator Matt Groening vetoed the concept, citing hopes of producing a live-action Krusty the Clown series in the future. Spoofing and lampooning its way through popular film and culture references, it did manage to eke out an existence long enough to merit a second season. It had long since seen a dip in the ratings. First off, it got canceled halfway through its ABC's first season run and was then picked up by Fox. So it wasn't all that popular from pretty early on in its history. The film review shorts will likely have been the best parts most people would pop in to catch. Once on Fox and being heavily promoted alongside its Simpsons tie-ins, it still found itself being shifted around time slots in efforts to build a more significant following. For some, episodes of the Critic would be a drag to sit through while awaiting the funnier bits. For others, you'll be sold the moment the Critic's distinctive opening sequence kicks off.
Introducing new Fruitomic Punch Gushers with a taste that's gonna drive you fruity. It's very, very different. And totally appealing. It's new Fruitomic Punch Gushers, the fruit snack bursting with juicy fruit punch in the middle. So fruity, they'll really turn your head.
Whoa, I'll say.
New Fruitomic Punch Gushers. The blast of fruit punch is gonna drive you totally fruity.
Man, I got a split.
Keeps on going, eh? We'll see. Oh!
Still going. Long-lasting Energizer batteries keep going and going.
Number 1, Bump in the Night. Living under the bed of a 10-year-old boy, we find Mr. Bumpy, a small green-purple, warded, loudmouthed, and lovable monster. Together with pals Squishington and Miss Molly, the three make a frightful yet delightful trio, spending their time getting into all sorts of harmless trouble, dealing with a toy robot who enforces the rules of the room, all the while trying to avoid the terrifying wrath of the closet monster. While by no means an extensive run on television, shorts of Bump in the Night were nearly impossible to avoid if you spent any time at all watching Saturday morning cartoons on ABC. Whether the show was scheduled for airing or not, segments were used as filler jammed in between breaks on a more than regular basis. So even though there were only ever 26 episodes produced, it always felt like an ongoing program. In fact, the development of the series began as a slew of advertisement bumpers for ABC's Saturday morning lineup back in 1993. It's probably not too much of a stretch to assume the reason he's called Mr. Bumpy is because he was originally used as a character for bumpers, alongside Squishington and Molly. Viewers would typically be treated to 2 self-contained episodic stories and a karaoke cafe segment in which one of the main characters would perform a song. Stop-motion animation is something people seem to enjoy on the whole. It's a shame that factors like time and cost make titles like Bump in the Night stand out as being few and far between. Whether it be the strange circumstances, the strange locales, or the strange monstrosities on display, the show more often than not entertained. If only in small doses, it seemed to do an adequate job filling the spaces it was designed for. When it came to filling out a half-hour slot, it simply fell short of the mark. Bump in the Night found itself in territory it simply wasn't made to survive. Still, a lot of people will have fond memories of time spent on repeated viewings of Bump in the Night segments. Perhaps just as many people as it gave nightmares to. Well, there you have it, 5 short-lived cartoons from 1995. Don't forget to leave us a comment below if you remember watching any of these. And as always, thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe for more videos just like this.